I just made an investment and I'm kind of still shaking. Knowing that this investment will show up in my future videos, I already feel the need to justify it for some reason. At least give some perspective and some background. So I think in the future I'll probably make a vlog about this. So I guess it's this one. So here we go. Lately I've been reading this book about the brains, and it's this book that I got from a dear friend of mine, in which the author talks about emotions and feelings, and how your brains can have like a conscious reaction to something and an unconscious reaction to something. And like when I bought this, which is kind of expensive, my conscious reaction was that I shouldn't be afraid of anything. I can keep it in the box, feel it out, return it if I have to, if I don't feel like it anyway. But then I also had an unconscious reaction to this, in which my body just, first of all, I couldn't sleep, but I also had an attack of eczema again, and that always happens when my body gets stressed out for some reason, but I was not like consciously feeling stressed. So that was just very exciting to me, very interesting to say the least. You know, my brains want me to stay alive for as long as possible, and I think it has kind of linked the amount of money I have to the likelihood of me surviving. So like unconsciously my body must feel that this is a weird investment, considering that I could have spent all of this money on like buying food or paying rent. But consciously I think this is a great step, and I think it's a great step to take at this point. Like I've been playing a piano now, which is more than 15 years old, and prior to that I had a piano which was very cheap, and it doesn't cut it anymore. I need something which has a wider range of dynamics and just has more of piano inside it, considering it is an electric piano. So like it could be an overkill. Some would probably say this is overkill. You're not even that good. You don't like deserve to play this kind of instrument. And to some extent, I would agree. But what I think is that I'm going to have this piano for a very long time, hopefully. So it's like buying a computer which is very much up to date and has great specs, and that computer can then like be relevant for longer. That's what I'm hoping for when I bought this, and also there are some other great things about this piano. I think I'm going to keep this one. I think I will actually open it instead of just returning it, because it has grown on me. Yeah, I currently have a lot of projects in mind, and I kind of do not feel like I have the time to be all that excited about this piece of cardboard. So I think I'll just let it sit here for a while I go play some music, and then come back and see if there's something inside it, and if that thing inside it actually works. Yeah, I've got a plan here. Det er imponerende med de der klips, de spanker i.
Må jeg se?
Ja.
Nu skal du have noget hjælp. Er der et eller andet sted, hvor man kan...
Så du faktisk skal stoppe. Der er skjult overvæg.
Hvad?
Der er skjult overvæg.
Er det sådan en, du kan pakke? Hvad er det her? Nå, men det er plastik her.
Fuld fart på klaverspil. In all honesty, I'm a little afraid that people will watch this video and watch some of my earlier videos and begin to feel that this channel is becoming increasingly unrelatable, because who even has that kind of money to buy such expensive equipment? I mean, even earlier on I bought a saxophone, I bought a synthesizer, bought a MIDI controller, an audio interface, I bought speakers, and I even bought an accordion. And aside from this, I also paid to attend a folk high school. I moved city, and I pay rent, and I also pay for a piano teacher. And I get that. It does seem like I am very fortunate, or that I have rich parents or whatever. Coming to think of it, it does make sense to me if people think that they can't do what I have done because they could never get that amount of money. But I think this needs some background story, because I am neither lucky or very fortunate economically. I have this secret ability. I'm just really good at saving money. I'm also, as you can see, really good at spending money, but I'm very intentional about how I spend my money. So you may have seen me buy all of this awesome equipment and awesome instruments, and attending a folk high school for music, and paying for a teacher, and so on. But what you may forget is what I deprioritize to be able to do that. A lot of the time I could have spent on creating and practicing music is spent at my day job. And also, I happen to only rarely buy new clothing. I almost never get takeaway. I rarely treat myself with beverages like soda or beer or wine. I can drink water, that's fine. To me, I was just about to say that I almost never grab a cup of coffee or get a meal at a cafe, but I guess no one really does that currently. But point being, I never did. My meals are simple and cheap. My furniture, simple and cheap. I don't think I have ever renewed anything. Yeah, my bed, I have renewed my bed. I could ramble on forever without really adding to the conversation. The final takeaway is that I spend money where I find the most value. This time around it happens to be a piano. I could have bought a new computer. Instead of using my very old MacBook Air, I could have bought a new video camera instead of you having to watch this potato quality from my phone. I bought a piano because I have to practice 3 hours every single day, and doing that on a more than 15-year-old borrowed piano with a very limited amount of dynamics. That doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I put my money there. That's why I did not buy shoes. That's why I did not buy a winter jacket. This is why I have not bought new chairs or a new sofa or whatever. The piano has the absolute most value to me currently, and I wanted to get a very great piano I can keep for a long time, and that's why I bought this expensive piano, and I really enjoy it. The thing about me buying this new piano, although I already have access to a piano, is that this borrowed piano feels like, like owning a bike, but that bike is stuck in the very first gear. So like I can pedal away, but that bike is not going to catch any momentum. So instead I'm upgrading to this new bike where all of the gears work, and I can go from gear 1 to gear 21 or whatever. Like, it's a metaphor. Anyway, another metaphor would be like being a painter and having 2 paintbrushes compared to 10 different paintbrushes. the amount of expression you can get from the 10 paintbrushes compared to the 2 paintbrushes is immensely different. And that's how I feel with these 2 pianos. So the 2 brushes being my old piano, and then the 10 brushes being this new piano. A lot of new strokes to arrive, I guess, on the canvas. One last thing I'd like to emphasize is that I do not consider myself a hobbyist pianist. And let me make clear that this does not mean that I consider myself a phenomenal piano player, because I don't, not by any means. The point I'm trying to get across is that I'm really taking this piano thing seriously, and I have to practice even if I don't want to practice, and that's not usually how hobbies work. And I even paid for a teacher, which is kind of expensive at my age of 26. And I follow his advice to the best of my ability, and I really try to push my piano playing to go somewhere. That's what I mean. Now, I definitely don't want to leave you hanging with all of your questions in the comment section, which would positively influence the algorithm, so I'll just answer them right now. Why did I buy this piano instead of all of the other alternatives out there? Why did I not just buy a piano which is slightly cheaper but still an absolutely great piano? Alright, let's get into it. I was juggling a bit back and forth between the purpose of this new instrument, like what would I want it to be. And first of all, I'm going to practice 3 hours every day, so I want something which sounds and feels like a piano. And there were a lot of options for this. Another thing was that I was thinking about buying something which would be a great addition to the studio, so to speak. Something which had a lot of sounds I could draw inspiration from and use in my future compositions. So I was looking for organ engine and different horns and strings and so forth. I just quickly came to the conclusion that the more I wanted my instrument to do, if I wanted it to be more of an organ, or if I wanted a modulation wheel or a pitch bend or a synthesizer section, the more versatile I wanted my instrument to be, the less piano I got. And I just couldn't find anything even more expensive than this, which could handle both the piano part and all of the other engines well. And so I had to choose. And thus the conclusion being that I bought a piano for the sake of it being as much of a piano as possible. And if I then needed a synth engine, another synth, I would have to save up money to get a synth. And when I then bought a synth, that would be, or that a synth has to be instead of a lots of different things. And if I wanted an organ, then I would have to save up money to buy a separate organ, which has everything that an organ is intended to have, instead of having an organ with weighted keys, or having a piano with semi-weighted keys, because it also had to be an organ. A lot of different considerations, and you might get to a different conclusion. This was just what I wanted from my piano. Another reason for me to buy this instrument instead of anything else out there, I'll just speak a little louder. I'm not even ashamed to admit this. It has nothing to do with what is inside or how it feels or how it sounds. I also bought this because I like the looks of it. And I know this sounds childish, but it's just very important to me to have gear which I feel drawn to. When I enter this room, I want to play each and every single instrument I own, because it just looks so good. Like, look at this, and look at this, and look at this. It's nice. And I would pay extra just to get that feeling of being drawn to my instruments. yes, I would. I definitely would. I would save up more money to buy something which I feel drawn to. I think it was a couple of days prior to buying this instrument where I was supposed to practice, and I'm moving a bit closer here because it's really noisy outside. I was supposed to practice, and I went into my room and I looked at this piano which I had borrowed, which is more than 15 years old, and still I'm very grateful for the opportunity to borrow an instrument. But I was looking at it, and I just did not feel like playing that instrument. I felt like practicing hard. I felt like, really bettering my skills and becoming a better pianist. But playing that instrument on that day, no way I was doing that. I just did not feel like it because I did not enjoy the sound of it. I did not enjoy the feel of it. I did not enjoy that when I used the pedal, it did not make any noise whatever. It did not at all act like an acoustic piano. This does way more of the things I want from a piano, and I want to play this one, and that's just the key difference. Do I have anything more to add? It's not really a review. I haven't played that many pianos, so I'm not really sure how this one compares to a lot of other pianos. Anything more? Yes, I like that they have a sound library online. So when I bought this, I wanted to have it for a lot of years, and knowing that they release greater sounds throughout the years, I can still use these sounds with this piano. That's great. Another thing is, if you try this piano out anywhere, if you have the opportunity to do that despite Corona, just a heads up, some of these samples, when you load them, they have the keypad touch on heavy, and if you are not usually a hard hitter on the keypad, some of the piano samples might sound a bit like dim or dull or not as bright, and that's solely because you have to like hit harder. So just a head up to maybe put that on medium or light depending on what type of pianist you are and how you like to play, and then you will experience the actual sound that you're trying to get from the instrument. And also, I have no idea why they start a lot of presets with so much reverb, and that's just the thing about every electric piano I have tried. When you load a sample, there will be reverb, and that reverb is always way too much. Like I'm sitting here in my tiny room and it just sounds like a spaceship up here. Like I'm not sure why I always turn my reverb off. I can't stand it when it's just like that much. So yeah, I think that's a wrap. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section below, and I will free you from this noise outside. Like, what's going on? Yeah, I will see you. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Fedt.
Mm.